Okay, hello. So, to everyone that's listening, we are back. It's October 26th, 2018. Niels is here, Shenan is here, and as always, we get into conversation with each other. We decided to record it because we have good insights and valuable information, at least we think so, that we share with each other. And hopefully, the people that are listening to this find it valuable as well. Niels, I haven't seen you for, I think, a month now. We haven't done
Yeah,
this. Maybe even over a month, right?
yeah, it's been a while. A
Yeah.
long while, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm actually excited to hear what you have to say. I know you said you've got some really cool things to share. You've had some incredible experiences lately,
yeah,
and I'm looking forward to diving into that. So take us through it. Where do you want to start?
yeah. Oh well. Let's see. Uh, in Yeah, about a month ago, I think. I went to the immersion that Anchor's Jane does, and it's just immersion, basically of the three principles, and you just go. Uh, you just sort of step out of your regular life for a little bit, and 4 days you're away from everything that you normally do at home, and it's just 4 days of uh, calming down and
Mm,
just a lot of silence, a lot of openness, a lot of space to get new ideas and new insights. And for me personally, it's been a really great, just an amazing couple of days. Um, I went there with a couple of ideas on my mind of what I wanted to talk about and wanted to dive into. And as it usually goes, it went the completely opposite direction. And I, at some point during the immersion, I was reminded um, of the fact that we create so many bullshit stories of ourselves, so many little stories that are just not true. And uh, I know I've heard that so often and so many people, but I really saw it for a moment, and then so much dropped away. And it's still, uh, it's still amazing how that works. And I have no idea how that works, but for some reason, it just, I got it, I saw it, and then everything fell open and fell away. And um, when I started to share a couple of my experiences over the last half year, uh, I started to notice that I was afraid of offending people by speaking my truth. And I wrote about that in the Powerful Men's group.
yeah, I've seen that.
And yeah, that was a big deal for me because I just hold back and hold back in case I'd offend someone or someone would be annoyed or angry or just downright pissed off at me. And I saw that that's just nonsense. I mean, for one, it can't happen because I cannot offend someone because I can't make anyone feel anything because it's always their own thinking. Any behavior that I exhibit, their interpretation of my or their thinking of my behavior is up to them. It's not up to me.
Right.
So that, for some reason, in that moment, it was just a really deep insight in. Oh my God, this is just so profound. I can just let go and not care, or it doesn't really matter what I say because it can go left or right whenever it enters someone's ear. It I don't know. I don't know what will happen to it or happen with whatever I do or whatever I say. It's just the interpretation of the other person that will get a reaction or get me a reaction. And it's yeah, just really freeing for me.
Mm.
And one of the big things over the last year, I guess, was that I was trying to step out of who uh, step out into sort of into the into myself, into my power. But I'd be afraid of what people would say, or of offending people, or just getting some sort of negative reaction. But it was really hard to see for me, and I'd take a few steps and then I'd get a little scared and I'd be like, ah, never mind, never mind. And then I'd try again, and then it's like, ah, yeah, I don't know, it's a little scary, never mind. And during the immersion, I could really see it. That, damn it, we're all just really powerful. We literally are really powerful people. Just, I don't know how else to say it. We just, the moment we stop holding back, that's when you really step into your own power, and then you become a powerful person. Just, yeah. So that's kind of um, what happened there for me in the last month and a half. And ever since I've been writing, I've started writing a lot for various groups, coaching groups, uh, men's groups, and so my own Facebook wall. And, yeah, just really expressing what what I know and what I have to share. Uh, yeah, I was always too afraid to really go there, to really put myself out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so big deal for me.
Yeah, well, I could relate to that so much in what you're saying, and I'm sure a lot of people, if not everyone, at some degree relates to it.
Mm.
And so two things came up for me when you were speaking about that is that first thing is a lot of us, including myself, and I say a lot of us only because there's so many conversations I've had lately with so many people that are going, ooh, I don't want to say this, but I really feel it. Or I don't want to go there because that might be too edgy, but I really feel that's true. And everyone's kind of holding themselves back at whatever level they're in, right? Some people are just beginning, some people have done so much, but there's always a next level. And what I'm finding common between all of us, and I'll share my experience of myself in a second here about that, is that you really we really diminish our own power when we don't speak our truth, right? Kind of like what you're saying, when you started to see that, you came about and went, wow, we're so powerful. And the thing that was struck me was that your truth and my truth is momentary. It's not the truth. It's like whatever I'm feeling, like if I'm feeling really insecure and I pretend to feel secure, then I'm not speaking my truth, and therefore I'm holding that like experience in my body, not letting it move through me because I'm not willing to be truthful about it.
Mm.
And the reverse is true, right? Like if I'm really feeling delighted and grounded and joyful, and I'm around a bunch of people that are really talking negative, and I'm going, maybe I should stay negative to fit in. And so I'm holding my truth in again. And like I said, the conversations I've had lately with people, I just see that so many people are so used to doing that because conforming is such a popular thing that is in our society, which is not intentional. It's not on purpose, but that's the thing. Like that's the thing that's going on, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that came up for me. So the reason I wanted to bring that up is because so many people are going to relate to this, I think. The second thing is I relate to it in ways where, so I spoke at an event last Monday, so it's almost 2 weeks ago now. A friend of mine has this event here in Vancouver called Voice Story. And I'm feeling a bit edgy just sharing this right now. I'm going to share it. And so the context of that platform is that everyone has a story, and he's going to help them have a voice behind their story. So people get on stage and they share their story, their experiences, which they really normally wouldn't share. They're being vulnerable, they're being, authentic, and they're sharing their story. I've been on that stage before in the past. I think it was January of this year. Yeah, I think it was January of this year that I shared my story. And so when I spoke this time in October, just 2 weeks ago, when I was thinking of what to say, I was looking at my story, and I'm used to looking at my story as, here's what happened in my life, and here's how I responded to it, and here's how I got out of it. Like, I remember I literally named my story at one point, the title of my story at one point, Impossible is Nothing. And I stood there and talked about how I've done all these things that were really impossible. Complete arrogant fucking. Right? It was like, I got out of a gang-related life, seemed impossible. I went and got a Tim Hortons with a 10th grade education, and really just seemed impossible to me. I went and got it. Then I gave that up and started a coaching business. And so basically what I was talking about,
Nice.
what I was talking about, I know in one angle it's true, but it's like, my story always looked at, here's what the story is. Here's what was created. Now, I don't want to take anything away from people that are in that world, because I know that it can be really empowering, and it's true when you're in it. Like, I've heard people get on stage and talk about how they've been through so many hardships and how they got over it. That's great. Like, that is empowering and good for them, and it's true. Like, I just want to put that out there. It is true, because I was there. But what I've seen about my story was I was more interested in how I created my story rather than the created part of my story.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And that was incredible to me. So I was like, maybe I'll share that. So that's what I decided to share a couple of weeks ago. And when I was sitting down, I think it was a week before the event, I was sitting down and going, how do I prepare for this? And something told me that if you don't prepare, it'll be the best way. Just don't prepare at all. Just go off the cuff and speak whatever, right? So I literally did not write even one word down. I did not even think about a concept or a title or nothing. And when I got there, this was in a pub setting. People are having drinks. It's kind of a lounge, not a pub. I'd say a lounge more, and there's a stage and such. And people were speaking about their story. Now, everyone's coming from their own level of how they see their story. I'm sitting in the crowd. And I swear, Niels, when I was in that crowd, I was thinking, man, you should have prepared something. What are you doing here with no preparation?
Uh-oh.
I was having all these thoughts going, you could have even written a quote down and kind of just rolled off that one. You didn't even do that. What are you doing here? So anyways, excuse me. All those thoughts are going through my head. I'm very grateful that I could recognize that it was thought, and I didn't succumb to it. Yeah, it was more entertaining, and it was a little bit uncomfortable, but it was more entertaining than anything else. So I got on the stage and I talked about how I ran into this understanding called the three principles, and how through that understanding, one of my insights was that thought creates feeling and thought creates reality. And because I didn't know that, I thought circumstances created feeling. And basically, in a summarized one-liner, I had a thought when I was 13 or 14 years old that said, I'm insecure, I need a sense of belonging, and gangs look like the place to go for that. And because of that one thought, I spent 10 years of my life in the gang-related world, because I believed that thought and took action on it.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm sharing this is because, going back to what you shared, we're scared of speaking our truth, and it frees us when you speak your truth. And we're scared of it because we think, how are other people going to respond? I was in that place, in that moment, on that stage. I was going, hearing the stories before me, the people that came on stage, what I was about to say was not related to anything. That they were more empowering stories. Mine was, here's how things were created by me. And it was edgy for me. It really was. It was edgy for me. It was lighthearted in a way where I was just talking about how my experience was created. I wasn't trying to glorify myself and how I got out of such a confusing world. And it was just different. And what I was feeling in that moment was, I wonder how it's going to be received. I wonder how people are going to respond. I wonder if people are not going to like it. I wonder if I'm even making sense.
Yeah.
So all those things were going through me, and there still are. Like the speech was recorded and it will be released, I think, 2 weeks from now. And I'm going, ooh, I wonder how I did, because I don't remember a word I said. And there was when I was speaking, there was a little bit of an incident that happened in the audience in the middle of my speech. So my speech had to be stopped. That had to be resolved, and then I continued the speech. So it'll be edited to be joined. But again, coming back to, like, if that's how I was, if that's how I'm seeing it, and I'm not sharing what I'm seeing because I want to be liked or because I want to not be responded to negatively, then I'm in that spot that you're talking about. I'm not sharing my truth.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it struck me when you said that, because it's like, yes, we've heard this before. Yes, it's everyone's heard this before to some degree. At least if you're in the personal development world, you've heard about speak your truth, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is there's different levels to that. Like, I was in that level last week, and I just couldn't. I was wrestling with it, going, "Oh, do I really want to?"
Yeah.
And like you said, Niels, it just frees you when you're speaking from what is your truth, and it comforts you knowing that you can't create feelings inside of somebody else. It's their interpretations that do it.
Yeah. I mean, you can be really offensive, and people can take that on board. It's like, you shouldn't be saying that. But even that is still their thinking, and there will be people, it might be far and few between them, but there will be people who won't be offended by something edgy you say, and so it's still it's thought, no matter which way you cut it. It's always thought, even though the majority will say that it's offensive, or you shouldn't say something, or shouldn't do this, that, or the other. It's still yeah, but it does. There's also sort of this moral thing that you have to stick with the good, the kind and honest truth, the kind and gentle truth. You don't have to be a complete, complete a-hole about it. You can be nice, but be honest. Because that's something that people will fairly often just need. Just a kind and gentle reminder of what they're truly doing, the honest, being honest about their behavior, or something that's getting in their way. As a coach, that's like a really, really powerful way of getting people to stop and take stock and really observe and think about where they are and what's going on, and where it's all is coming from. And if you can be there to remind them, like, it's coming from some thought that you've picked up somewhere, and it's creating this whole thing, this whole this whole show that you're putting on. And when you see that it's just that thought, then you can let it go. But often it needs that first trigger of trying, just being there honestly and with the truth, uh, with either your truth or the truth, the other person's truth. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, because it's not like a, and I know you're not saying this, and I just want to clear it out, that it's not a cop out. It's not like, well, I can't create feelings in you, so I can say whatever I want, and it's your it's your interpretation of it.
Yeah, right.
Right? It's not like, it doesn't give you this free card to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it's more of an understanding that it's, you don't have to hold yourself back because you can't create feelings in someone. And at the same time, when you were speaking about this, what showed up for me was that distinction between being compulsive versus being conscious, right?
Yeah.
And I find that when we hold in too much, for whatever reason, we don't know how people will respond, we don't know, we want to be liked, maybe, whatever that reason is. When we kind of jam the system, then it's more likely to come out in a compulsive way rather than in a healthy, conscious way, where you can speak your truth and be kind and honest and polite.
Yeah. Perfect. That's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Because I was challenged during the immersion to offend everyone that was there. But that was really hard because I didn't really want to offend them for the sake of being just nasty. It was like, okay, it's a sort of speaking the truth in what felt to me as being offensive or offending someone. Not offensive, but being trying to offend someone. And it was really, really helpful in that moment to see that. It was really hard to like just to be honest and truthful instead of being just mean. And I mean, because I could just start calling people names and then they'll get offended, and then it's like, yay, challenge done. But that wasn't the point. It's like,
yeah, I totally get that. Well, it's like one has an intention, right?
Yeah.
Offend people is an intention, versus speaking your truth is just spontaneous. It's like something that's present in the moment.
Yeah. So it took a lot out of me to get something to say to one of to everyone about themselves that they were not seeing or holding back or whatever. That an honest, kind honest wave telling them what was getting in their way instead of being really offensive, and it just that those two things, I guess they're two kind of insights happening at the same time. That you can't really offend anyone, so you can be honest. But being honest and being mean is totally different. And to me, it was like, if you're really honest and you're mean, you kind of like, you can be really offensive because someone might feel negative about what you said, but it's like, nah, it's their interpretation. If they don't want to hear it, they'll feel offended, maybe, but that's not up to me. It's up to them.
So did you manage to offend anyone?
Yeah, a couple. And I'm not invited back now. Yeah. So yeah. But that's really cool. And then it was fun just to give that a go as well. Just to break out of that. Throw it open and try it on. So yeah.
It's a cool insight.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's a really cool insight. It's always useful.
Yeah.
I have a client that is struggling right now with exactly this, speaking her truth more. And I think she's going to find this really helpful. Thank you for bringing that up.
Hmm. Most welcome. Yeah. So, have you seen anything new? I'm sure you have. But
Have I seen anything new?
yeah.
Um, in the last month or so, I guess, well, that, for me, that was kind of a new thing to kind of go out and, you know, share more about how I can see the creation part of my story, of my past, of my even present moment, instead of the created part. Because I've been so used to describing the created part, which is well identified, it's already created. But what's doing the creation and really seeing that, seeing the process from creation to created. Um, not that not that I have a process or not that I'm doing a process, but there seems to be a projection. And I guess I was more entertained by the picture on the screen than the actual where the film's coming from.
Uh,
You know, so I'm more interested and intrigued by, oh, this is how it's all being created. So for me personally, it's like it brings this level of freedom. It's this new level of freedom for me that's like you have freedom of mind to play with that you can come from instead of trying to find freedom in the thought created already thought created reality. And finding freedom in the thought created reality is basically just rearranging thought. It's like a new combination of same thought, and it looks new and it looks creative, but it's not really creative because it's still in the boundaries of what's already created.
yeah, yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, 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 kind of, yeah.
So, you know, for me, it was what's been new, or I guess lately, what I've been intrigued by is um, if I, and this is related to my story again, is if I can, if I'm creating something in life, whatever it is, a new project, a new group program, a new event, a new retreat, a new conversation, even a new jogging route, whatever it is, you know, and if I'm doing that from my experience, it's so much more different because if I'm doing that from my experience, it's coming from my memory. It's coming from what's already experienced, and it's coming from the limits of that experience, which I've been doing for most of my life, at least most of my adult life. And what was different for me to see is that you can create from beyond your experience. You can create from the space of potential that is not anything to do with what you've experienced, so that it doesn't have to be bound by it. It doesn't have to be limited by your experience. You have this freedom of mind to create from, and that way you're creating from pure potential. Like there's no ceiling there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost like you can imagine whatever you want to create, and it doesn't have to be influenced, or I was going to say stained, but it doesn't sound right. Influenced by your own experience is probably accurate.
Yeah.
Because I see that most of my life I've been creating from my experience. I guess that's normal. Like that's all we see, right? Well, oh, this is what I've done before. I can maybe be a little bit edgy more than I have been. Instead of, if you're not creating from experience at all, there's no measurement, there's no comparison. Edgy is not even a concept. It's just creation.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Edgy comes in only when you compare it to your last.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Otherwise, it just is. There's no.
Otherwise, it just is. Yeah, it's like It's like a 3-year-old that's creating something from Lego or coloring something. Uh, Imagine if they're going, well, I only created this from Lego last time, so I can only do this time.
Yeah.
They're creating from a blank space. They're not creating from comparison.
Yeah.
That's been new for me. It's been, well, I guess not so much new as much as it's been integrating more,
Yeah.
playing with that more.
That's beautiful.
That's actually what I would love to talk about at the retreat that I'm hosting with Marika in November, because I've seen so much freedom there as not a place to get to. So much of what we're focused on in our society, in our Western culture at least, is that we want to get to a place of freedom, and we think that after we do something it'll bring us freedom, or we think that after we see something else will bring us freedom. It's like, no, freedom is a place to come from. It's not a place to get to.
Yeah.
There's so much more to play with there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's only when you start to see that that it is a place to come from that you start to feel free, right?
Yeah.
And the I don't know who coined the phrase, but the phrase infinite creative potential. That's that.
That's that. Yes.
Yeah, it just really reminded me of what you were saying. It's like it really is infinite, and it really is creative potential. Just, there's no boundaries. It's complete freedom, and just to create from something that isn't there yet, so potential. Just create something from nothing in a boundless way.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
amazing insight. I mean,
Well, it's kind of like you in a sense. Not that the insight is the same, but it's like, I've heard this before. Create from nothing. Oh yeah, I've heard that before. Infinite creative potential. Oh yeah, I've heard that before. And then when you see something in it, it's like, oh, I might have heard it before, but I haven't seen it this way.
yeah,
Right? It kind of reminded me of when you're saying speaking your truth frees you. Oh yeah, we've all heard that before, but really seeing that is completely different.
yeah. It's like, oh, that's what they mean. Oh, all right, yeah. And then it's a whole new ball game. It's something.
Yeah.
It just opens up to something completely new, right?
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Oh man, if you can help people get towards that space, I mean, wow, that's such a yeah, yeah. It is an amazing weekend that'll be just um, so powerful and valuable. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think Marika also brings this amazing level of groundedness and loving sense of being that I experience when I'm around her. So people that are around her will definitely catch whatever energy she's bringing into the room, and how she sees the world is quite uh, loving. It's just a really cool space, and I love having conversations with her, and I think that we create a good synergy. So I think it's going to be a really cool weekend.
great. Yeah, cool. Are you gonna record it or?
No, we're not going to record it. We're just going to have it
Okay.
as, a weekend that people can experience. This is my second one. So as it progresses, and I don't know what direction it's going to grow into, but I'm definitely going to continue doing them.
Cool.
The next one will probably be March or April, and we'll see. We'll get to a point where maybe we'll record it. It depends on who's in the room, and consent and everything else has to be, part of it.
Yeah, because the dynamic always changes a little when there's a camera present.
That's true.
It's a little different.
It is.
Yeah, people tend to hold back. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be much more free this way.
Yeah, definitely. And you'll create something really unique and valuable, and just for that moment, and let it go. And you create something really rare and valuable. So.
Right. Yeah, you're right. There's a sense of there's this sense of, the space that's created in the moment that cannot be relived, and you kind of you bask in it, and then it gives you this information, as Chip Chipman was just telling me this morning. It's a different kind of information that comes from a feeling. It's not content, it's just different information.
Yeah. And you can't really get that from a recording per se. It's
right.
Yeah. Well, it's different. It's different, for sure. So, good idea, though.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And also, what I wanted to mention, when you asked have you seen anything new? So we were talking about this right before we pressed record, is that I think this is just going to be a valuable thing because everyone can relate to it. I might be wrong, but I think everyone can relate to this. Is that part about taking action versus focusing on grounding, or taking action versus focusing on learning more and training more, and, however people see it.
Yeah.
And that's been a new thing for me to see. Again, not new in a sense that I've heard it before, but new in the seeing part. And just like I was sharing before the recording started, is how when we cut our skin, our body goes into action immediately and starts to heal it from the moment you cut it. And the moment you feed yourself, your digestive system starts to go immediately into action to digest your food. And so action being a very significant part, and the other half of how life operates in order to stay alive. In every animal, in every plant and tree, if you water a tree, it'll start to immediately feed itself and get the nutrients to the branches.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, as we talked about earlier, is that so many people are stuck in either taking too much action and not going deeper within themselves, and not embracing more learning on whatever level they need to. And so many other people are stuck on embracing so much and learning so much and not taking any action where they need to.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? I would love to know what your insight or kind of what your perspective is on that. Excuse me.
I just got something really interesting.
Cool.
It just occurred to me that that's probably where burnout comes from, in a really practical way of putting it. It's taking lots and lots and lots of action without really any nourishing your soul in any meaningful way. I mean, I see it so much with people who have burnout, that you could just go do stuff, and when they're really tired, they still go do stuff, like watch TV, binge Netflix, go shopping. I don't know what. It's just action, 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 and there's very seldom any moment where they just take a little space for themselves, just do nothing for a little bit, which really grounds yourself, and it really opens you up to sort of start to heal. Like, if you keep cutting yourself, then there's no chance for your body to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it will try to start healing, but there's no, you're not giving it any space. So it needs that space to heal itself.
I love that. I love that analogy.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, the other way around as well. If you're never gonna go outside and then bruise yourself, get a bump on your head, or as a kid, or catch a cold, then as an adult you'll be like really sickly, and then your immune system won't have had any real work done, any real training, any real, uh, it won't have had any real life experience with what's around you in the physical world, and that it's really hard to live in the world. You really need to go out there and catch a cold, and you know, just rely on your body. It needs to get some
Yeah.
bumps and bruises every once in a while to get it to work really hard. I mean, even lifting weights is breaking up your muscles. It is damaging your muscles intentionally to have them rebuild and become stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get much more physical than that.
Yeah.
And if you don't
I
do
love that.
anything, you sit in your butt and your muscles will atrophy and waste away. So
I love that. I love how you said go out and catch a cold and rely on your body. That
yeah,
was gold to me because it's like, yeah, go and take action and rely on the intelligence within you to give you information and new thought and new creativity.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, yeah. That's the balance or the marriage of the two, of the game of life and living life. Yeah, it has to meet in the middle.
Yeah, totally. It's like feed yourself and rely on your body to digest it. You don't have to digest it. Don't
Ah,
worry, you're good. Just feed yourself. It will do it.
yeah,
And it's the same thing with life. Like, go take action. You don't need to have it become possible or perfect or whatever. Go take action. Life's got your back, and you can rely on it. That was gold. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Oh wait, yeah. That's it. Perfect. Better than I could have said.
No,
Good stuff.
you said it. I'm just repeating what I heard you say.
Yeah,
You can catch it on the recording. Those are your exact words. Go catch a cold, and you can rely on life to help you.
yeah. Well,
Perfect.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
Well, what else do you want to talk about? Should we end it here for today, or do you have anything else that you want to add?
Um,
Any more insights that you've gotten that you want to share, or whatever you want to chat about, actually?
well, not necessarily, but that theme has been going on as well in my mind. The marriage of the physical and the non-physical, and the spiritual, the reality side of life. Um, that it's a dance of the two. And lately, I've been really interested in Edgar Casey stuff, which is like really fringe and woo-woo stuff. And it's kind of out there, but
Edgar Edgar Casey?
yeah, he was around the turn of the 19th century into the 20th century, just before or during the First and Second World War. I'm not really sure. I think so. But his nickname is the Sleeping Prophet, and he used to go into sort of sleeping trances, and he'd just lie on a bed, and people would come to him for healing advice. Healing advice in the sense that he would be able to scan their bodies in that trance state, and then he very accurately would be able to pinpoint what was going on and what they needed to get over that situation. And I mean, it'd be really weird or simple stuff like get more vitamin C, or really specific stuff like take a couple of microdoses of arsenic with something else. And
Arsenic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's like ant
Really,
killer, isn't it?
yeah, it's really weird stuff. But it would be exactly what that person needed at the moment. And he did that for ages. And at some point, he started talking about a physical ailment that some person had that they carried over from a previous life, and he went back to that previous life of that person. And then the whole can of worms started opening, I guess. And he started bringing forward really interesting stuff that, for some reason, it really sounds like the three principles as well, but extremely esoteric. So it's really hard to extract that from that information that he gives, but it's so cool. Because one of the things that he says, or he said at some point, was that that it's really important to live life and do your thing and do what you need to do, but it is also and equally as important to have space for meditation, space to actively do nothing for a little bit, because that's where the magic happens. That's where life comes forward, and the things that you have been aggregating up till that point, they start to bloom. Everything that you've been building up just unfolds in those quiet moments. And if you don't have those quiet moments, you miss out. And it is, again, in a very esoteric way, he explains about that it's important to live life equally as it is to have a spiritual something in your life.
Yeah.
You can't do with either one. Just, yeah, it needs to be a bit of both. In equal doses, I guess. So.
Yeah, good, valid point. Very accurate, and it sounds interesting. I'll check out his stuff. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, but it's really fringy and like kind of weird stuff. But I love that stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, me too. I love that stuff.
Cool. Yeah, then definitely check them out.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. I'm just yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of complete, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, just one last question for you, because I know that you have your own coaching practice, and I think, in my own opinion, when I'm interacting with you and we have these chats, you have so much depth and so much of a brilliant way of expressing that depth into a practical way for whoever you're working with. How's that going right now? Who kind of people are you working with? Really interested in that. Curious about that.
Well, I've sort of half purposely, half by accident, slowed it down a bit. The beginning of the year, I got into a new relationship. She has 2 kids, and so there's this whole thing about getting that settled. And I was really overwhelmed for a long time within what I was doing, and I just couldn't find the time to really focus on coaching. But that whole thing has settled down, and we've got our own place. The kids have settled down in our relationship. We've both found our way in the relationship. We're both looking to expand what we're doing. For me, that means going back into coaching and coaching more.
Nice.
Picking up where I left off like 6 months ago, I guess. It's been a long time. And what I've started doing is writing a lot, and I'm just really sharing what I've written to whoever wants to read it. And that's what I love doing, and I'm even thinking about putting it into a book at some point. And,
cool.
So between now and, I don't know, maybe half a year or a year time, I'll have something like at least a short novella. It should be a decent little book. So
nice. I'm looking forward to reading that.
Yeah, cool.
I'm glad you're getting back into coaching, because I think a lot of people can really benefit from just spending some time with you. And like I said, you have this depth and way of expressing that depth in a really simple and practical way, which I love. And that's why I love doing these conversations with you whenever we do that.
Yeah.
So
Thank
good
you.
on you to get back on it. People are really lucky to spend time with you, Niels. Really.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I can say the exact same for you as well, man. It's like anything, anyone who has the benefit of hiring you will be all the better for it. That's a given. Yeah, man.
Well, we always better each other in our conversations, so we can give each other the credit for each other's successes.
Exactly. Yeah,
Cool, man. Well, let's end it here for now, yeah?
yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, I'll stop the recording and thank you again for the chat, and we will join forces again 2 weeks from now, hopefully,
Yeah.
and we'll chat again, and we'll record it for everyone to see it. And everyone who is viewing this, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you get anything from this, we would love to hear your thoughts so we can learn from what you're experiencing as well.
Yeah. Just reach out, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, reach out on Facebook, YouTube. It's posted on YouTube. Our old chats are all posted on my YouTube as well.
Cool.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, to whoever is joining us, and we will see you next time. And Niels, thank you again.
Shenan, thank you.